How's it going, guys? aRenG Live here, and today Konami has finally teased their new mini box that's coming to Duel Links, and that is called Visions of Ice. Now, this is a mini box, so we're only going to be getting maybe like 3 decks or so, but the decks look pretty interesting. At least one of them, which we will go over in a bit. So today we're going to be going over all the best cards in the new set, Visions of Ice. So let's go ahead and get things started. The first card we're looking at is the Tricky. This is one of the URs. There's only 2 URs in this box. The Tricky is one of them. Actually, I have been kind of waiting for this guy to come to Duel Links for a while, because his summoning condition is so easy. You discard a card from your hand, and you can special summon him. He's 2,000 attack, 2,000 attack spellcaster, so that's not bad. It's actually pretty good. And you could definitely use it as tribute fodder. This could be used in stuff like Hazy Flames and stuff, because it's really easy to summon. It's just an all-out pretty good card. Moving on. The next card we're looking at is White Knight Dragon, the poster card for the whole box. This guy kind of gives me like a vibe, kind of like Citadel Whale, but not exactly like Citadel Whale. I don't know. It works in Dragon, so obviously you can summon him with all the ease that you can summon Dragon, so you can use Kid Moto. White Knight Dragon, it looks like it's pretty good. It has an interesting effect. I'm going to go ahead and read it out for you guys. It says, during either player's turn, when a spell/trap card that targets this card is activated, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. So obviously they're just not going to want to target you. They're not going to want to target this monster because it'll just stop whatever targets it. Fair enough. When another face-up monster you control is targeted for an attack, though, you can send one spell or trap card from you control. That could also be face down. It shouldn't matter, and you can change the target to this guy, so they'll attack right into White Knight Dragon. It's an interesting card, but I don't know how viable it's going to be in the meta. It might be a boss monster for a while, but I'm not seeing too much viability from it. There's something else in this box that looks like it's going to be really, really good, but I'll go over that in a bit. Dragon of Ice. We got some more of those ice archetype, not really archetype, but it's kind of like a little type of cards, I guess. We got Dragon of Ice over here. He looks okay, actually. He kind of reminds me of the Tricky, in the sense where he has the ability that when your opponent special summons a monster, except during the damage step, you can discard one card and special summon this card from your hand or grave. There can only be one copy of this guy on the field. Now, this one is only limited to when your opponent special summons a monster, but we are seeing special summoning a lot now in Duel Links. Like, everybody's gonna have cards that special summon, so this card might be a little bit more viable. There's already quite a few cards that kind of work this way. There's cards like Chaos Hunter. What was the name of that guy? That's like Cybersaurus or whatever. It works that way as well, I think. So there's quite a few cards that you can try to work off of that, but usually cards that rely on your opponent to do stuff, they're not that great, because if your opponent just doesn't special summon, then they kind of lock you out. So this card's okay. Next up, we got Blizzard Princess. Blizzard Princess actually looks pretty good. She's an SR, but she looks pretty boss monster worthy. She does state that you can tribute summon this card in face-up attack position by tributing a spellcaster type monster. So if you special summon the Tricky, you can instantly tribute it for Blizzard Princess, which means you're going to get a 2800 beater on the first turn, or whatever turn you summon it on, preferably on the second, so you can actually deal damage, because her second effect does state that after this card was normal summoned, your opponent cannot activate spell or traps for the rest of the turn. So you can attack, and you don't have to worry about Wall of D. You don't have to worry about anything. I think you can still chain to this card's summon, because when she's summoned, you can still like try to negate the summon and whatnot. But I'm not 100% sure. She should be able to like lock down everything after she is successfully summoned, though. But whatever, she looks like a pretty good card. I can definitely see her being used in like a farm deck or something, especially for the last turn when you don't want them to activate their back row, tribute a spellcaster to summon her, and then this one just locks them down. So I don't know, it looks like a pretty interesting card. This is where things get crazy. We got spellbooks in the game. We got Prophecy. You can call them spellbooks, you can call them Prophecy, it doesn't matter. But we got Blue Boy right here, Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. I know for a fact, Spellbook, Prophecy, whatever you want to call them, they're really good. They're insanely good. I mean, they're a really strong deck. They were tier 0 during, I think, I'm not sure if it was during the Dragon Ruler format, but they were tier 0 for quite a while because they have so much card advantage. You could basically recycle cards like crazy. You play a card that sends stuff to the grave. You play a card that recovers stuff from the grave into the deck. You play a card that searches a card from the deck to your hand. So you can use the same card multiple times. Spellbook Magician of Prophecy is one of the monsters that you can use to search. This guy is a searcher. You're probably going to want to run this guy. If you run the deck, you're going to want to run this guy at 2 or 3. Preferably 3. This guy is really good. This guy does state, when this card is normal or flip face up, add 1 spellbook card from your deck to your hand. Technically, he is a spellbook card, so any spellbook spell or anything that says add a spellbook card, you can add another copy of this guy. He is the only spellbook monster that can actually be searched. So he's a really good card. Another card we have is Mage Power. I think this card is okay. I mean, it used to be busted back in like caveman Yu-Gi-Oh time. Because you would just equip it to a monster and it would gain like 2,500 attack, because it gains 500 for each spell and trap you control. But Duel Links is limited, so you can only have 3 and maybe the field spell, so you could probably gain about 2,000 attack. This card could probably give your monster an extra 2,000 attack if you have all your zones full, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's a pretty decent card, but at the end of the day, it isn't equipped and it just gives you raw power. So I mean, if they target something to destroy or they do something, Mage Power is not going to take you that far. But it is a pretty good equip. Probably the best equip for raw power that we've gotten so far. Here it is. We got Spellbook of Secrets, the main search card for Spellbooks Prophecy. So this card is really good because it just adds a spellbook from your deck to your hand, except Spellbook of Secrets, and you can only activate this card once per turn. It thins out the deck like crazy. You're going to want to run 3. Spellbook of Secrets at 3. It has to be. Next card we got is Spellbook of Life. Kind of works like a Monster Reborn, but it only works in spellbooks because you have to banish a spellcaster type monster in your grave, reveal another spellbook card, and then target 1 spellcaster monster in your grave and special summon that target in attack position and equip it to this card. The equipped monster gains levels based on the monster you banish, so it can gain about 3-4 levels, I don't know, but I don't think that's really relevant. The whole thing is, you get to revive a spellcaster. You get to revive any spellcaster monster you pretty much sent to the grave, which is pretty crazy. Pretty good card. I would probably recommend running this at maybe like 2 or 3. I don't recommend 3 actually. 2 is probably fine. Next card we're looking at is Tribute Burial. This card looks pretty good. It kind of reminds me of Soul Exchange, because it allows you to tribute summon your monsters. But this one, I'm going to go ahead and just read it to make it clear. It says, you cannot special summon for the rest of this turn. Alright. Once during this turn, you can conduct a tribute summon that requires 2 tributes by banishing 1 monster from each graveyard instead of tributing. It's still treated as a tribute summon. Alright, so that basically means that if you have, let's say, a Blue Eyes in hand, a monster in your grave, banish it. You can banish a card in your opponent's grave, and those count as the materials for that summon of Blue Eyes. So it's pretty good. It also doesn't stop you from doing your battle phase that turn, so you could still attack, which is pretty nice. The other card, with Soul Exchange, does lock up your battle phase, so I think that was it would slow down your deck a lot. This one could potentially give you game, especially if you're trying to summon something big. So it could be a pretty good card. I mean, I guess they threw this in because they threw a whole bunch of big prophecy monsters, but I just don't see. I don't see the big prophecy monsters doing much, but I don't know, man. If they're throwing stuff like this in to summon them, then they might be pretty good. The last SR we are talking about is Treacherous Trap Hole. Now, this is a pretty good card in the sense that if you only have 1 trap in your deck, or if you have a way to banish cards, this card is really good, because if you actually draw this and you get to use it, Treacherous Trap Hole just states, target 2 monsters on the field and destroy those targets. So you can really kind of go in on your opponent with this card, which is a pretty decent. But the thing is, if you're trying to use multiple cards, like let's say you activate a Wall of D and you have a Wall of D in the grave and you try to activate this, it's not going to work because you can't activate it if you have traps in the grave. That's why I'm saying, if you have a way to banish traps in the grave, you could probably use this. So that's not a bad card. It's actually pretty good. But it's kind of risky because you can only really run 1 or 2, and then once you use it, it's gonna be dead. So remember, you gotta banish them cards. I've already gone over all the SRs and URs because it is a mini box. Honorable mentions, which is, to be honest, it's going to be the Spellbook cards. I need to go over some of the Spellbook cards so you can go ahead and see what's going to be being played a lot. So let's go ahead and go over those. Alright, so first up we got Charioteer Prophecy. There's a whole bunch of Prophecy or Spellbook monsters here. They're probably Prophecy. The monsters are Prophecy, the Spellbooks are Spellbooks. Or the spells are Spellbooks. So that's why it's kind of confusing. But we got Charioteer over here, who basically lets you recycle a monster by throwing away a spell. we got Justice of Prophecy, which lets you add a monster and I think a spellbook as well by banishing this card on the field when it was normal summon. Pretty good card. We got Prophecy Destroyer. You can summon this guy easy by banishing 3 spellbooks, but in the end, like you might think that that's a cost, but not really, because spellbooks have a way of recycling their banished spellbooks by using Spellbook of Eternity. You can target one of your banished spell cards except this card and add it to your hand, and you can only activate one of these cards per turn. So in the end, the cards you banish to summon Prophecy Destroyer over here, you summon this guy by banishing cards. You can banish the Spellbook of Secrets, and then you add it with Spellbook of Eternity, and it's just pure advantage. That's why I'm saying this archetype might be really, really good. So you're always going to be adding stuff to hand, which is pretty crazy. And I mean, they didn't give us the most broken spellbook stuff, so they're not that strong. They were tier 0 in the TCG, but that's only because they had Spellbook of Judgment and stuff like that. We actually do not have their boss monster, which is High Priestess of Prophecy. She was really good. I think for her, you just need to reveal a certain amount of spellbooks to special summon her, and then once per turn, she could destroy a monster on the field or something like that, which was really, really good. So she's kind of their boss monster. You also have Spellbook of Judgment, which is basically a plus 5-6 cards depending on how many spellbooks you activate on your turn. You get to add that many cards to hand, so that card would have been really busted. Glad they didn't throw that in. I mean, they got banned in the TCG ASAP. That card caused problems. We also don't have Temperance of Prophecy. Temperance is really good. That's the one that if you activated a spellbook, you get to summon her, and then you activate Temperance's effect to pretty much tribute her away and special summon a level 5 or higher light or dark spellcaster from your deck, which is insane. And we don't have that in Duel Links. I mean, I don't know if we're going to be getting it in the future, but if we do, that card's going to be really busted. Spellbook of the Master. This one was like a secret rare in the TCG. I actually remember pulling this when I actually bought a blister pack or whatever, and I ended up getting this, and it was like a $50 card. This card is actually really good. I can't believe it's an N, but this one can basically copy any other spellbook card. It does have some drawbacks that you can do, but the main use of this is basically to copy Spellbook of Secrets or something, so you can get more searches, which is the main use, and it's actually a pretty good card. But on top of that, we got Spellbook of Power, which gives your monster 1,000 attack, and when it destroys something, you get to add a spellbook to hand. Spellbooks do nothing but search. They're really, really good. That's what makes a deck good, hand advantage. So I predict that spellbooks are going to be really good. I have to say it. Spellbooks are going to be really good. The next card we're looking at is Spellbook of Fate. All these cards are rare, dude. All these cards are rare. So Spellbook of Fate is also really good. I think this one was limited in the TCG. I can't believe it's just a rare. But this card, if you run it, you can basically banish a certain number of spellbooks to get different effects. One of my friends used to have this deck. This is why I know so much about it. I would always play him. He would always use Prophecy. Spellbook of Fate was always a problem because I'd be using Chaos Dragons and he'd banish my monsters. Because this card, if you banish 3 spellbook cards, you can banish a card your opponent controls, which is pretty strong. That's pretty strong, but you have multiple effects, like change one monster on the field to face down defense or face up attack. Return one spell or trap card on the field to the hand. And then last up, we got Spellbook Library of the Crescent, which is actually really good. I would actually recommend running this at maybe like 2, I guess, in the deck. This is really good if you get it like first turn or early game, because this one only works if you do not have a spellbook card in your grave. You can reveal 3 spellbook spells with different names from your deck, show them to your opponent, or you kind of show them the cards, and they have to randomly pick one. You show them to them face down. You don't show them the actual cards, I think. And then you get to add the card they picked to your hand. So it's always going to be pretty much, it always pays for itself by adding another spellbook card that you chose. So I gotta say, spellbooks are looking pretty busted. I mean, aside from spellbooks, we also have Gustos, which, I mean, they look okay. They're alright, but they're not going to be anywhere near as strong as spellbooks. Spellbooks are just busted. So out of the 3 archetypes that were kind of introduced, which is Gusto, Spellbooks, and I guess the ice counters archetype, or Blizzard, whatever, Blizzard Princess, Dragon Ice, White Knight Dragon, all these like ice type monsters, I think spellbooks are just 9 out of 10. The spellbooks are the best. The other ones are like a 5 or a 6. So definitely keep an eye out for spellbooks. I'm letting you guys know now, spellbooks are the way to go. So if you guys are going to go into this box, this is what you're going to be aiming for, these spellbooks. But that's pretty much it for today. I went ahead and talked about a lot of the best cards, and this time it is true to the name. It is some of the best cards in this set, even including rares. But that's pretty much it for today. And if you guys enjoyed, go ahead and leave a like, share, and subscribe for more Duel Links shenanigans. But anyway, thank you guys for watching today. Have a great day, and see you guys.